The IKEA Meatball, arguably more of a reason to visit an IKEA than for their flat-packed furniture. However, this popular menu choice is not as innocent as you might think. My name is McFoodie, and today we take a look at the dark truth behind IKEA's famous meatballs. But before we begin, I welcome you to subscribe to the Food Thoughts YouTube channel and let us know down below which food-related idea we should explore next. The IKEA meatball was first conceptualised after IKEA founder Ingvar Kamprad was worried that customers would get hungry while browsing his gigantic warehouse. As we all know too well, a quick trip round an IKEA can turn into a big adventure. Kamprad gave the job of coming up with a brief menu to then store manager Søren Hulberg, who decided meatballs were the answer. They were a cheap and well-loved food in Sweden. The meatballs became an instant success and are that popular that the company actually boasts about their fame, writing on its website that there are more than 1 billion sold every year. That's a whole lot of meat, or is it? It was in 2013 when we begin to learn that IKEA has problems with its balls. Believe it or not, it was uncovered that horse meat was found in IKEA's meatballs. That's right, horse meat in beef meatballs. This came after tests in the Czech Republic found traces of horse meat in its Köttbullar line, or as we know them, IKEA meatballs, leading IKEA to withdraw its meatballs from sale in stores across the UK and in 20 other European countries. Is it even worth going to IKEA if you can't get those juicy little meatballs? But you're probably wondering how horse meat even ended up in the meatballs. Well, IKEA was just a small fish in the big pond when it came to the horse meat scandal of 2013, possibly one of the biggest threats to food safety in modern history, and one that highlighted the vulnerability of our food supply chains. The scandal began after meat from horses entered the supply chain, mistakenly being labelled as beef. Initially beginning in Ireland after the Food Safety Authority tested a range of cheap frozen beef burgers, and then subsequently stretching across wider Europe, with conflict in reports as to whether the agency began its investigation at random or after having been tipped off. It was soon realised that multiple supply chains were affected and led to millions of products being withdrawn from our supermarket shelves, whilst also damaging consumer confidence across the affected brands. However, it has been difficult to pin down how the horse meat came into contamination with beef, with Ireland pointing fingers at continental suppliers in the Netherlands and Spain, and then moving the blame to Poland, who again denied knowing how it all happened. Some shocking findings came from this after tests carried out by the FSA in the UK revealed that the beef in frozen lasagna and spaghetti bolognese made by French manufacturer Comigel was up to 100% horse. Comigel supplies the likes of Tesco and Aldi. This scandal was detrimental for consumers as there is always the chance that the horse could have been contaminated with illegal pharmaceuticals such as bute, a drug given to horses but banned from human consumption as it can cause kidney and liver damage if consumed by you and I. Moreover, victims could have eaten an animal that they perceived as a pet. And from this, the traces of horse meat found its way into IKEA's meatballs. Speaking on this matter, IKEA spokesman Ylva Magnusson said meatballs from the same batch had gone out to Slovakia, Hungary, France, Britain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Italy, Greece, Cyprus and Ireland. Magnusson said meatballs from that batch were taken off the shelves in IKEA stores in all of those countries. But how much damage was already done? We'll never know. Which begs the question, how long has horse meat been in our IKEA meatballs, and we've just not known up until 2013 when it happened to be tested as part of a wider scandal? It really makes you think, but hey, that's just a food thought. European Union officials soon met and decided that tougher food labelling rules were needed to ensure that a contamination would never happen again. IKEA's meatballs were reintroduced to the store just a few months after being recalled, this time horse meat free and true to their label. There is, however, one often untold story about Swedes and their love for their horse meat, actually marketed under the same name Hamburgerkott in Sweden, essentially hamburger meat. Swedes use this stuff like us Brits and Americans use butter, spreading in on toast, sandwiches and other snacks alike. However, a quick look at the ingredients and in the small print you'll see Hästkött, as the English translation reads, horse meat. So perhaps Swedes don't mind a bit of horse in their balls after all. Well, who knew meatballs could be so scandalous? Despite this, IKEA's meatballs remain a top choice for a post-furniture shop snack amongst customers. What's your go-to IKEA food? The 75p hot dog is certainly top of my list. And that's all for today, but before we go, here's a fun fact since you made it this far in the video. The recipe for Swedish meatballs actually originated from what is now modern-day Turkey. Sweden's King Charles XII brought back the meatballs to Sweden in the early 1700s, with Sweden's very own Twitter account coming out with the news confessing Swedish meatballs are actually based on a recipe King Charles XII brought home from Turkey in the early 18th century. Let's just stick to the facts. Anyway, be sure to subscribe for more food thoughts, and until next time, this was McFoodie on the dark truth behind IKEA's meatballs.